doctor gives you medication, do you think people take it here and there? Or do you think people take it every single day?
Probably every day.
Every day. You think they miss a day?
No.
No. People miss a day. Because they're so concerned about what could happen. The outcome can be death, stroke, embolism. You can have all sorts of different cardiovascular issues that can kill you. So it becomes a pretty serious topic that I want to bring your awareness to. And I just want to tell you, if a cardiologist would present this material like this, there'd be an entire auditorium full. But because a chiropractor says it, it loses some vitality or some robust character to the conversation. But everything I'm going to tell you is everything every cardiologist knows, but it's just a twist on the story that I want you to hear. How many of you have heard The Wizard of Oz? You guys familiar with the story?
Mm-hmm.
Summarize it in 5 words. Keep it quick. What's it about? Not like
No
5
place
words,
like
but keep it
home.
quick. What?
There's no place like home.
No Place Like Home. And who's it about?
Earth.
Dorothy. You ever heard of Wicked?
Yeah.
What's it about?
It's reverse, right? Wicked is
What?
My boss.
What's it about? Focus. What's it about?
Wicked Wish.
The Wicked Witch. Is she not in Wizard of Oz? Same story, same people, different story,
Yeah.
same people, little twist. So I want to talk to you about a myth in healthcare, because there's myths. Most people think that healthcare is all fact. And I'll say healthcare is about details of information that we have that we utilize to the best of our understanding. But if you go back through a lot of clips on the internet, you'll hear of the phrase, what we used to think is what we now understand, meaning we were wrong, and now we understand differently. There's lots of myths in healthcare, but you never hear them admitted as being wrong. You just hear how they're now right. You'll hear certain surgeries that they do now where they say they do it a certain way because the other way is barbaric, or we don't do it that way anymore. We have a much better way of doing it. Which isn't to say it was wrong, but it's constantly progressing and getting better. What I want you to know is this conversation is going to progress and it's going to get better. Because right now it's not very accurate. And I'm going to rewatch the video with you. And I'm going to pause it when there's an inaccuracy or a discrepancy or a way that I want to create a different perspective, just like Wicked did. Because I want you to hear a conversation in a different way that makes you ask better questions to get better care. Because you know what the leading cause of death was 100 years ago?
Cholesterol.
No, okay. But they didn't say that. They didn't know. We didn't know about vitamins back then.
Disease.
Heart disease. Okay? Cancer is right up there too. You know what the leading cause of death is in America now?
Heart disease.
Heart disease. And right behind it is?
Cancer.
So if you've been spending, how much money do we spend a year, do you think, on the heart and chronic illness? How much money do you think we spend on the 5 leading chronic illnesses in the world, in America? Do you know what they are? Heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes, and obesity. 5 leading causes of chronic illness. Do you know how much we spend per year on that?
$3 billion.
$3 billion. I'm going to give you a big hug. Okay? $3 billion. In America, we spend about $2 trillion. Okay? Really? No. Okay, I'm sorry. Probably $400 billion on chronic illness. But the total cost works out to be $2 trillion. If I talk to you about flu season, okay? Anybody hear about flu season? When is flu season? When's flu season? Fall and winter. So then where does the flu go in the summer?
Dormant.
Dormant. Does it have a summer home? It doesn't go anywhere.
Arctic goes down to
It
Florida.
goes down to Florida, you know? So it doesn't go anywhere. What happens is your body's susceptible. Which means that if you think that flu is caused by the bugs, then you're going to try and create solutions to kill the bugs. But if the bugs are still here in the summertime but people don't get sick, how can you blame it on the bugs? It's really about our bodies. And if our body becomes susceptible to something, then we get sick. So if you can strengthen the body and stop our body's ability to get sick by defending ourselves better, you see the problem from a different angle, you try to create a different solution. So cholesterol, what I want to show you is a different solution. Because they'll give you all the statistics. You can find all this on heart.org. In fact, you can go to heart.org if you walk down the cereal aisle. Do you know where you see heart.org in the cereal aisle? Yeah, on all the boxes of cereal that they've designated as heart-healthy food. Okay, I just want to call them out because 20 years from now, you're not going to find that in the cereal aisle because you're going to realize that cereal is not heart-healthy food. anything that comes from wheat and grain is not going to be heart healthy. It's going to be inflammatory. Do you know what inflammation is in the body? When have you heard the term inflammation? You ever twist your ankle? What happens when you twist your ankle? Does it look like the good one or does it look different? Right? It's inflamed. It swells. And physiologically, what's happening in the ankle is different in that ankle than the other ankle. So I say that because in your body, right, when you have a cholesterol issue and you have plaque, is it everywhere?
No.
No. Why isn't it everywhere? I mean, if you have a plaque problem, if you have a cholesterol problem, it should be everywhere in your body. Is that the case?
No.
No. So what does it do? Does it go to everywhere or does it go to certain places?
Certain places.
What makes a plaque? How does your body form a plaque?
Weak spots.
She told you. Weak spots. Plaques are cholesterol that are attracted to weak spots. It's like the police. They don't pull over everybody. They pull over people who are violating our rules. Cholesterol floats around. They showed you the lining of the artery. You got the drywall, you got the 2x4s, and you got the outside of the building. Your artery wall is the intima, the media, and the outside wall of the artery. The cholesterol doesn't stick like little posters here to the inside lining. They make you think you got a plaque in your artery like it grows inside the artery. Cholesterol goes along and it embeds into the wall in the 2x4s where the insulation is. And it embeds there on purpose, not by accident. It doesn't float along and get attracted by accident. It's called chemotaxis, meaning it goes along and it finds where it needs to be and it jams into the arterial wall. And you know what it attracts?
More.
It does, but it attracts your immune system, a macrophage. A macrophage is a major immune cell. So the cholesterol goes to the site of a problem, sets off an alarm that triggers your immune system to show up. And we think that's a problem in our country. Our solution is to stop that process, to stop the LDL from going there because LDL is a bad guy. In fact, it invades, I'll let you hear say it again, it invades the lining of your artery. Invasion is not a popular, nice term. It's a negative, nasty term. When you embed the language with negative, you create an understanding that cholesterol is a bad thing for your body. If I tell you that cholesterol is really a fireman, the fire alarm goes off. Do they go everywhere in town or do they happen to know exactly where to go? So they go right to the scene of the problem. Do we drive by and we're like, whoa, way too many fire dudes there. We got to get rid of these guys. Get them out of here. Let's make a drug to stop the fire hall from releasing all those firemen in our town. Would that be a smart idea or a stupid idea?
Stupid.
So if I tell you that cholesterol is a fireman, I'm just going to tell you how the idea is of stopping cholesterol in your body. Because she even says, and the Heart Association even says, that cholesterol is actually good for your body. Cholesterol may also protect against heart attack and stroke. Now they're going to say HDL. HDL is a compound that helps to remove plaque and brings it towards your liver, where LDL brings it from the liver towards the site of the problem. Cholesterol is cholesterol and it's made by your body. 3/4 of it. 3/4 of it's made by your body. But our approach in our country has been to change food. What are heart unhealthy foods?
Bacon.
Bacon. What else?
Chips.
Okay,
Butter.
like the pieces, but nobody's going to tell you tips. You're good though. But what are heart healthy? What do people know are heart healthy or unhealthy foods? Foods high in cholesterol are heart unhealthy, right? Do you think chefs invented white omelets, egg white omelets, or do you think medical doctors invented an egg white omelet? Chefs were just trying to capitalize on people's interest, but they were told to eat an egg white because the yellow is bad for them because the yellow is where the cholesterol is. I'm going to tell you, if you want to be healthy, eat whole foods. Your body needs the entire egg, not just part of it. So you're better off eating the whole thing. And you're better off eating it from a chicken that's healthy than a chicken that's unhealthy because it's the unhealthy part that's going to make you unhealthy. And unhealthy creates inflammation, and inflammation attracts cholesterol. If you think that cholesterol is a problem, you've missed the whole first 4 steps of a process, and therefore you misunderstand the problem. Cholesterol is incredibly important. It's made by the body. 3/4 of it's made by the body. And if you cut out cholesterol, you cut out everything cholesterol is used for. Do you know what cholesterol is used for in the body? It makes hormones. It makes DHEA. It makes all the hormones that baseball players got in trouble for. They took it because it made them better athletes. It makes all your sex hormones, testosterone, estrogen. If you look at the plot of how many cholesterol medications were issued, there's a rise just after it of Viagra prescriptions. Because if you cut out the whole cascade of hormones, of sex hormones, you cut out the impact of what those hormones are going to do for the body. You start to suppress sexual function in the body. So when you start to cut out cholesterol, you cut out everything it's used for. And it's used to make amazing hormones. It's used to make progesterone, which sustains the pregnancy of a woman. It's used to do a lot of really healthy things in your body. And your body makes it on purpose. So instead of thinking of it as a bad thing, instead of looking at cholesterol coming along, okay, and depositing or being invaded into the wall in your artery, think of it as going there on purpose because it attracts your immune system. And your immune system makes something called a foam cell. In your house, next to your windows, if you have a crack, you want to put in foam in there because it stops a crack. So it solves one problem, but if you keep doing the thing that caused the problem over and over and over again, it's a definition of insanity. You haven't understood the problem, so you keep repeating it, and the consequence of that is going to be death because you're not listening to your body. Your body brings a chemical that initiates an immune reaction, and the immune system in your body is trying to solve a problem. The problem is we don't recognize the problem, so we keep doing it. So the problem is that if you ignore the problem and these cholesterol molecules go into the body, attract the macrophages that turn into these foam cells that turn into a plaque like she showed you, if you let the problem go long enough, it will create a big problem that can kill you. Absolutely. But to think that's the problem is to miss the entire point of how the body really works. Because if you understand how the body really works, you want to maintain it in a healthy state, not wait till you're sick and broken. Our country's going to go bankrupt because we're trying to fix broken things all the time. It's a sad reality. It's a sad reality of what's happening, but when you get into how this all works and what it turns into in the body, you get to the fact that there's a national crisis. Healthcare costs the $2.2 trillion that I was talking about. That's the cost of healthcare. That's not an unsustainable number. Okay? It's 15, it's going up to 16, up to 17%. It's more expensive than most countries make in a year. And it causes bankruptcies. And more of them every single year. Okay? Every single year. And most of them, most of them are gone to spend on things that are called chronic illness. You know what chronic means? It's been there for a long time. Long time. So you didn't fix it right the first time, and it just turned into something very problematic, very chronic. Okay? And so the chronic illnesses, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, obesity, arthritis, $400 billion. $400 billion every year. That's from Kessler. Okay? That's from 2006. So you know that number's higher now. So just picture the fact that $400 billion every year, and it's been a problem for 100 years. If you spend that kind of money, picture giving a child, a neighbor was giving a child, better not you. A neighbor gives a kid $1,000. Kid blows $1,000, comes back, it's like, I need $10,000. Neighbor gives him $10,000. Kid comes back, it's like, I need $100,000. Your neighbor gives him $100,000. At some point, you're going to turn to your neighbor and be like, are you crazy? Because we keep giving you all this money, and they keep blowing the money, and nothing's changing. Try to figure out the math of what we spent. And in 100 years, nothing's changing. We figured out how to treat it real well. But if you don't understand the problem, you're never going to create a solution. And you know we don't really understand the problem because when you walk down the cereal aisle, they put their little stickers on the foods, on the cereals, on the grains, on the wheat, that say that they're heart healthy food. Why? Because Cheerios doesn't contain cholesterol. There's no cholesterol in Cheerios. It comes from food products that are made from animals. It's like the foods that say they don't have gluten in them. And you're like, well, yeah, I imagine that,
Soda.
Yeah, so no gluten. It's like, well, yeah, of course there's no gluten in that thing. So just understand, if you don't understand the problem, then you're going to end up paying a ton of money for something. And it will surprise you to know that cholesterol itself isn't bad. In fact, it's just one of the many substances that are made by your body. And it comes from the animal-based foods. And they know that. So when you put it on a cereal box and you say it's heart healthy, you're misleading the public because the public thinks I can eat cereal and it won't affect my heart.
That's what it means.
when in fact you eat cereal, wheat and corn produces an omega-6, omega-9, an inflammatory oil in your body. And if it's pro-inflammatory oil, it's going to create an inflammatory response. That's what the oils that cause the swelling of your leg in the first place. So if you twist your ankle, you want those oils. Those are critical oils. But the American diet has them in disproportionate amounts. And so instead of addressing the problem, the source, we figure we can disrupt it downstream and it's not going to be an issue, it won't be a problem. The industrialized world suffers from this. From a food industry that doesn't understand health. From a healthcare industry that doesn't understand food. And a sick insurance industry focused solely on alleviating symptoms. And a corporate world left holding the bill for employees who have no incentive to be healthy. I don't know where that hits you. But to me, that's the problem. Is that if you work at a company and your health insurance is like $300 a year, or whatever for your family, a month, whatever it is for your family, and then you leave and you go to a smaller company, your healthcare cost rises. And then if you leave that company and go work for yourself, your healthcare costs even more. But you haven't changed. If you haven't changed, it means that your healthcare insurance isn't based on your health. And if you don't base it on your health, then you have no incentive to be healthy. And if you have no incentive to be healthy, and someone else is paying that bill is likely to be large. And if that bill is large and the sick insurance industry is focused on alleviating symptoms, go to the hospital. There'll be a big smiley face sign that says, our goal is to reduce your pain. How are we doing? When your goal is to alleviate pain, and you have a rock in your shoe, do you want an aspirin? So if your goal is to alleviate pain, you're pretty much missing the actual problem. You're just trying to placate things. And when you placate something, you allow it to persist and fester and become bigger. And that's where we are today. A healthcare industry that doesn't understand food, if it did, a lot of the foods that kids eat would be illegal. When you understand that sugar is a leading cause of cancer production and that all the sugary foods we put at eye level for children, and that when you walk around places, it's advertised as children, and you put on the cereal all the sugar, all of that, the wheat, the corn, the sugar, produces inflammation in your body. And the inflammation is what causes your body to produce the cholesterol molecules. And the molecules go to the sites in your artery walls that are damaged, nicks, scrapes, scars. And it goes there and it attracts your immune system to heal your arteries. And in healing the artery, it creates a foam cell that fills in that gap to fix it. And if you'd stop eating those foods and causing that problem, everything would work out great. But because we don't recognize that as the problem, it persists. What happened when Mayor Bloomberg tried to make giant Slurpees illegal? What happened? Remember that in New York City a couple years ago? What happened?
Everybody went crazy.
They were crazy. You're restricting my civil liberty, my civil rights. My civil liberty, I don't know what they were claiming for. Because I want a 32-ounce Slurpee. I deserve to be able to buy that, to eat that. Okay, but your health care costs should rise if you're going to do it. God bless you, I don't care if you do it. But when the cost is evened out over everybody, just understand you're paying money for that. You're paying money because we don't address the actual problem. And the problem is our food, our lifestyle. What does your body require to express health?
Natural foods.
You hear how silent that was, though? If that's not the most important question or conversation you should be having with your doctor, I don't know what is. But until that's the question they ask, you're never going to get a worthy answer out of it. When your goal is to bring down your cholesterol by giving you a drug and never asking why it's high, you're never going to address the problem. So what was your answer?
Natural foods.
Natural foods. What's a natural food? You're perfect. What's a natural food?
Any veggies, fruits, veggies that aren't
Anything
GMO.
not processed.
Non-processed foods.
Non-processed. So there's another huge thing. So if a food is natural, then your response to it's going to be natural, which means if a food is unnatural, your response is going to be unnatural. And unnatural is abnormal, and abnormal is the definition of disease. Every illness we have is defined by the word abnormal. It's abnormal physiology. So an abnormal food response abnormal physiology response. How's your exercise supposed to be on a daily basis? What are you supposed to do on a daily basis for exercise? What?
Gotta get your cardio up.
Get your cardio up, yeah. Cardio up. You're designed to have to move enough to avoid being killed by something, and move enough to be able to collect enough food to sustain yourself. In America today, you have to be able to get yourself from bed to the kitchen table, the fridge, or to the grocery store. And all that can take less than 100 steps if you do it right or wrong. So a lot of the things we do is that we violate how our physiology is designed to work. And all I can tell you is, you're made to move. Harvard study said a lack of exercise will take 7 years off your life. Pretty simple, pretty obvious. If you don't move, you're not doing what your body requires to be alive. You're supposed to eat food that grows, that's natural, and that's healthy. If you don't, your body's not going to function right. It's not going to work right. You have to grow the food so the food itself is healthy. Which, if you pay attention to the commercials on TV, hear what they say. Now, no offense to Wendy's, at least they're honest about it, they say our food is made with all natural ingredients. We don't use any fillers, any artificial things. Now, our chickens are antibiotic-free, hormone-free. If it's good for our food to be antibiotic-free, what do you think antibiotics do to your body? If you don't want it in your food, do you want it in your body? But think about how often people have antibiotics. So when we talk about what's healthy, just know that your LDL, your cholesterol, those are the firemen going to the fire, and the HDL are when they come home. Same firemen, all made from the same molecules, just serving a different purpose. Okay? And the problem isn't the cholesterol, it's the inflammation. It's the inflammation that's causing the issue in your body. We don't want to take the fire truck screaming down the road, racing to the fire away from the firemen. We want to fix this guy. Okay? Because overweight, lack of activity, smoking, alcohol, all these things are contributing factors, contributory. I don't know how she says it, but she's love her voice. Those are contributory for heart disease.
She's a Brit.
Or she's Australia, no, she's gorgeous to listen to. Certain diseases and medications. Medicine is going to be something that causes an increase in your cholesterol. Because it's abnormal, it's processed. Has to. Okay? There are people with genetic disorders that promote the amount of cholesterol in their body. But that's like the extreme. That's like that 7% rule of anything that we don't need to talk about. Talk about the main people, and it's lifestyle. It's not genetic. Cholesterol is not a genetic problem. It's a lifestyle problem. And your lifestyle is dictating that your body needs a lot of cholesterol to fix stuff that's happening. If you don't address the fix, if you don't try to fix something, you can drug the heck out of it, but you haven't solved anything. You can take pain pills for the rock in your shoe, but you haven't fixed it.
Nice breakfast.
That looks
That's
good.
breakfast. It looks delicious. Let me give you a break. That's amazing. Croissants, muffins, cakes, cookies, candies. All the things your mother said, "Not, you're done, not anymore." All the things we know to limit. Unfortunately, there's no one over your shoulder smacking your hand anymore. Thankfully, there might be somebody over yours. Most of the time, people just eat that and there's no recourse, there's no responsibility. So I just want you to know it comes at a cost. It comes at a cost. And people think it's a solution. I'm going to tell you, it might be for a short-term crisis, but for long-term, that's what leads to chronic illness and it's bankrupting our country. Stick to what you talked about. Stick to Mother Nature. If you're not doing a lot of it, just do some. Anything more than what you're doing will move you towards health. The more you do, the healthier you're going to be. But when you stick to this, you don't have nearly the same problems as when you stick to this or this. So get back to Mother Nature. Make sure the things you're eating are eating Mother Nature. And have less of the heart-healthy, grain, processed, refined foods. And your body's going to function better. It says on there when diet and exercise are not enough. They say because they're enough. Most people don't do it enough. So do something to change your physiology. Do it in a meaningful way. If you don't appreciate your food when you eat it, your body's not going to respond to it the same way. You're programmed to have an emotional response. To have gotten food in this world would have been a pretty emotional thing. It was a great thing. Appreciate your food. Focus on your food. Take time to slow down. Take time to stop. Eat Mother Nature. Make a huge difference on how your body works. You'll be less inflamed. You'll have less of a need to make the cholesterol. Your body will start to respond and become healthy.
The triglycerides. Is that the triglycerides is the fat in your blood?
It's
Is that
it's
the
available
plaque?
energy being transported through the bloodstream.
Is that the plaque?
No.
Is there a way to reverse, to get rid of the plaque?
Your body can process it. Your body is a thermostat, and it can constantly adjust how much or little of something you maintain. Your body weight constantly changes. Your temperature constantly changes. Your body has the ability to change things, and it changes it based on demand. So if you have a high amount of something, it's because your body is maintaining a high demand of that thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you can reduce your demand for it, the amount of it goes down. So if you've got a high triglyceride level, it's going to be reflective of your activity and your diet. Now, there's always that genetic component. It's always about 7%. So don't put yourself in that percentage. Treat yourself like you're the other 93% of people. And do things to change your physiology. Because if you don't change your physiology, if you maintain the same state but think your body's going to react differently, it's insane. It's insane. Your body is trying to create a solution to give you the greatest likelihood of surviving where you live, your environment. And if your environment is hostile, it's got to do more things to give you a chance to survive. The new current thinking with exercising is that you eat 5 meals a day, because if you're constantly giving your body food, it doesn't need to store it. If your body thinks you're starving, it's going to put on weight. If you have low food quality, you're filling your food with stuff, but there's no nutritive value. Your body thinks we're starving. You're like eating the curtains right now. You might eat a lot, but you're not going to get much nutrition out of it. So your body thinks you're starving. It's going to store as much as it can as body fat to maintain it. It's going to ship that around as a triglyceride. Your body's going to produce those things and cause your physiology to be in a different state. So triglycerides, cholesterol, it's all a state that's absolutely responsive to changes in your lifestyle.
I just had my blood work done in October, so I went and got my numbers off to bring them, to compare. And on the results, it actually said, ideally for the HDL, ideally it should be 20 points higher than the LDL.
Your HDL is a lower number. It should be a quarter of your total cholesterol.
Yeah.
So you should have more LDL than HDL, but you want the amount of LDL to be lower and the amount of HDL to be higher,
Right.
and still have your cholesterol be in a healthy level.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you're going to have less HDL in your body, but you want it to be at the higher end of the range in their thinking.
Mm-hmm.
But the ratio is constantly maintained by your body in response to how you're living your life.
Yeah.
An unhealthy lifestyle is going to dictate that you need more LDL going to the scene of the crime. You need their trucks out in the street because there's a ton of fires, not back in the firehouses. So until you change the way people are living their lives in their homes and reduce the incidence of fire, you're never going to change it, no matter what you tell the firehouse. So we've taught everyone about numbers. I mean, picture how much money we spent that everyone knows what cholesterol is. Everyone knows the word triglyceride. Everyone knows what number should you be around, what cholesterol level. Where should it be?
I say
Seventy-two.
only under
It
200.
used to be under 200. Now it's what, 150 or
We keep
something?
lowering it down.
Oh my God.
You know, here's the best. Here's the best
Mine's
indicator
at
you have.
72.
Okay, total can't be. But
No,
here's
not-
the.
Oh no, total.
Here's the.
160.
Yeah.
Okay, is that good or bad?
That's good.
How do you know it's good?
Oh,
What if you need it to be 200?
Oh, all right. Do it. Well,
And
Body.
I mean, you know what? I can save a ton of money by putting my office temperature at 50 degrees right now. How would you guys do with that? But that's good, because I'm saving money. It's good. But you sit here and be like, "No, I'm going to get miserable." So just because it's low doesn't make it good.
Yeah.
Your life insurance policy, so I could give you a discount for having lower cholesterol numbers because it's medicated. You're just as much of a risk at a 160 on cholesterol as you are at a 220 without it. Because it doesn't reduce your incidence of death. Which is why I started out by asking you, why does everybody take it? Because they don't want to have a heart attack. They don't want to die. But the research shows it's a statistical variance. The rate went from a 2.8, I think, to a 1.6. So it dropped it by nearly whatever that difference is.
1%.
Well, no, but it's almost a 50% improvement.
Yeah.
50%. Taking the cholesterol medication reduced your risk by 50%. It dropped it by 111 people out of 8,900.
It was less than 3% to begin with.
Right. But they don't tell you absolute numbers. They don't say it went from 3 to 2%, because who would buy it? They tell you it went from almost 3 to just over 1.5. That's almost a 50% improvement on cholesterol medication. And that's how they sell it. It's a 50% improvement. If 3
Why
people
is it-
die, 4 people die, make it easy math. If 4 people die doing something and now we got it down to 2 people, everyone should be taking heart medication because we reduced the risk by 50%, from 4 to 2. They need to publish it by total numbers, not statistics, that are able to say it's a 50% improvement by taking the statin. Because the relative amount isn't very significant at all.
Yeah, it's only
In fact,
1% of
that the medications themselves are making trillions of dollars every year.
Problem.
Picture this. Our DNA hasn't changed in 40,000 years. Which means you could take DNA from 40,000 years ago, combine it with someone today, and make a person. Our DNA hasn't changed in 40,000 years. But if you look at the health of Americans within the last 30 years, health problems have gone like this. And nothing sustainable for 40,000 years has a growth curve that looks like this.
All the bad food.
So it tells you it's not DNA, guys. You can't. There's no genetic evidence to support it's a gene problem. It has to be lifestyle.
Shouldn't a doctor recommend what you should eat and do before he gives you medication?
I can't fathom another way.
Well, to a certain
Cardiology.
extent they do. They tell you to stay away from fatty foods.
Here's the thing,
They'll tell you
and
that.
I wish we would get to the problem or the crux of it is that if everyone just stuck to what they're good at, we'd have less of a problem. But most doctors aren't trained in nutrition. Nutritionists aren't trained in surgery. So nutritionists shouldn't talk about surgery, and doctors shouldn't really talk about nutrition because it's not their thing. They've learned about it, but if doctors understood nutrition, they wouldn't allow a lot of foods that are produced to be produced. We wouldn't have had smoking sections in hospitals. When my son was born in 2009, half the food on the menu in the hospital was fried. So doctors can't understand food, or that wouldn't have been allowed to happen. Maybe we understand it now, but the training hasn't changed in the last 50 years. So you can't all of a sudden claim, oh, we're good nutritionists. They weren't good nutritionists. If we were, we wouldn't have the problems we have. Just admit it. That's not our thing. Awesome. Because I don't expect a medical doctor to be good at nutrition. I expect them to be good at diagnosing disease. Critical things. Okay? If you change the foods that people are eating, you're going to get a different outcome in terms of the health of the body. So I think it's absolutely imperative that we talk about nutrition. I don't know if the doctor's the right one to do it. Whether they should say, we're going to refer you out and we'll go from there in terms of start with the nutritionist and then we'll do it. If this doesn't work, then we'll get there. And that's awesome because then it would work really great. But it's got to be a sliding scale of what to do, not just jump to the end. Opioids aren't being produced anymore, given to patients right off the back for back pain anymore. Doctors are being told now by their organizations to recommend other things. Chiropractic care, physical therapy, massage, acupuncture, things that physically are shown to produce better results. And if that fails, then the opioids. And if that fails, then the surgery. But until there's a progression, you're not serving the public's best interest.
Some doctors are stricter than others.
There's good in every industry. There are great doctors out there. There really are. I just want you to focus on what questions can I ask? How can I get a solution so my body becomes healthier? What does my body require to express health? If you ask that question, you're going to have a completely different conversation with your doctor than if you say, hey, how's my blood work look? Blood work tells you what's happened already. It's like driving out of your rearview mirror. Have a more forward approach in terms of what you're doing and ask better questions. You'll get better answers.